Shalom, shalom. We'll start off by giving all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Kodash. I want to say double honors to our apostles who are elders who rule well. Also blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. This Rob Amaf with the Nebraska camp. And I wanted to go, we're heading in a time, beautiful time, very confusing and all over the place, but that's the wrath of the devil, knowing that he had but a short time, okay? Because at the end of the day, as you've seen in this video clip here, Stephen A., which I don't understand. That was a red flag to me to see him on the stage dealing with politics. And then it clicked. I mean, that he's a sports journalist that has the gift of gab, okay? And these people that sits in these seats, man, are more important than one thinks. All right, and I want to get something real quick. I mentioned it a couple of times in my lessons. So once we get into, went on a site just went on Google and went to AI overview. So it says the role of a court jester is what I looked up. It says a court jester's primary role was to entertain the court with comedy, music, juggling, and storytelling. However, their duties extend beyond simple entertainment, as they could also serve as messengers, provide political commentary through satire, and even act as a strategic asset in times of war by boosting morale or taunting enemy troops. Jesters were often highly intelligent and respected figures despite the fool in their title. You know what I'm saying? So the jesters, people like Stephen A., when you going on or news anchors, they're scoff at, yeah, we got B-2 bombers, and they'll make light of something that's serious. They're sheep herders. As it says, they're storytellers. They boost morale. It is that they provide political commentary through satire. Let me get that word satire real quick. I believe, I don't want to say it. Satire is a literary work intended to ridicule prevailing vice or folly by scornful or contemptuous expression. Yeah, so it's almost like you're mocking it, or you're like, and he said, I don't want to do that. Like when you do that satire, you know what I'm saying? Or when you get somebody and they get in a fight and then you see them and then you walk around, they got knocked out and they got the noodle legs, and when you see them, you start doing a noodle leg dance. That's satire. Or they something that happened, because they do it a lot on, like, you can see it on fucking Game of Thrones, when they'll have a war, something happen, then they'll retell a story, but then they'll lie about certain stuff, they'll fabricate certain stuff and make somebody look like a super loser, when, you know what I'm saying? So they'll do that, and that's what they do with and they've done with everything. They've done with us, call us, monkeys and incompetent at reading, and try to, they do it all the time. Is that, they add the asterisks and they tell the narrative, they control the narrative of things. But this is an ongoing tactic that's being used right now in that video, for them to get up there and him to act like he's really devastated behind people not getting money. But he got up and walked off stage, but ain't nothing going to happen. He did all that yelling and making sense. He made sense. They're doing this and we're sitting up here making money, but at the end of the day, there's no solution. And that's why I consider him controlled opposition, because he'll make it sound good, but ultimately the solution, he's going to allow the government, he's going to yell loud and loud and loud, we need a solution. The government's going to come with one. All right, but why isn't he coming with one? Since you're so upset, and why aren't you shedding your ideas on what should happen? Because you're going to wait till the government tells everybody what to do, okay? And I wanted to read this excerpt real quick. I got a couple of them I wanted to read. It says, the smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion. Okay, the opinions about women and men working together, the opinions about who should get money, who should not get money, their opinions about, race, the blue lives matter, black lives matter, white lives matter. They've raised attention on it so much that, you can't say, oh, you're doing this because I'm black, because there's so much shit that came with it with Black Lives Matter. They didn't destroy that. When Jake Esau still do racist shit, he'd still do things based off of his hate towards Jake. But, through stuff like Black Lives Matter and things like that, they've oversaturated these situations, But, you can't say things, pretty much you can't say things that's actually going on and people not look at you and get angry. You can't sit there and watch a woman as a police officer get her gun taken and you say that's why you shouldn't have women working as police officers. And somebody say, hey, you shouldn't show what are you're against women? It's like that. Like, you can't state the obvious, but they like to call this place the land of the free. You can't speak on certain medical things, the medical 2020. You can't speak on the MOTB. We shouldn't have to speak in code in the land of the free, but we have to speak in code because it's not the land of the free. It's a corporation that gives a fantasy that this is the land of the free. Okay? So, and this is why I find books like this interesting. Now, the elder did a beautiful lesson that I must needs as well speak on, that he was referencing going into many books, because a lot of these niggas go into Yasher and let these books engulf you. And I want to say this because I don't want to seem like I'm contradicting. The elder's absolutely right. Everything's supposed to be filtered through the scriptures. And I ain't talking about a way that you want to squeeze a round peg into a square hole. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, if the Bible says it, then, then you should, if the Bible agrees with it or speak on it, then you would use it. But that's not the gospel truth. Just like what I'm saying right now ain't the gospel truth. The gospel truth is Esau as a whole is a liar. He's a devil the Bible speaks of. And he's going to be brought down. All right. Now, when you go into certain books, it may go into the intricacies of what's going on, such as this book is talking about the economics of everything and how they work through economics and education and, how the government works and how you're getting fucked over by them. Just like you could, he's still being a thief. Just like you could be a car salesman, be a thief. He could be a person that sells food and be a thief. He's a thief. It's just, I found a book that goes into the economics of him being a thief. You know what I'm saying? But this is not the gospel truth. The gospel truth is Mark, Luke, John, Revelation, Deuteronomy, etc. Okay? So, just want to say that for those who may misunderstand these type of things on how to navigate. All right? So, filter everything through the scriptures, and make sure it goes according with the scriptures. And I like to say that again because you got the book of Yasher. The Bible speaks on it, but the book of Yasher is not consistent with the Bible. All right? That's why we don't read out of the book of Yasher, because the book of Yasher proved itself to be inaccurate. I believe with the Nimrod and the timeline with Nimrod and Esau and things like that, and certain other things that's spoken of in these books, because people like to say, oh, yeah, this is some deep knowledge that, look here, man, get into the scriptures, understand the breakdowns, instead of trying to go somewhere else, like you're going to get more over there, and now you're up on something deep because you read one book extra. No, all you need to know is this Bible, in essence. You know what I'm saying? Just other books help you explain it more in detail. But it shouldn't be to the point that as long as I got this book, I know more. And I know this deep breakdown that you'll never find in a regular Bible. No, that ain't the case. It's never going to be the case. All right? They don't need to know. They ain't gonna read you that. And these are secret books. Get the fuck out of here. All right? The scriptures. Digging. Understanding these prophecies. That's the real secret. That's the meat. Because there's breakdowns within the scriptures that niggas ain't getting, man. You want to go all the way around the world to get around the corner. All right? But let me get back to it while I was speaking on So they said the smart way to keep people passive, because this is the thing, we're in democracy. And Esau is relying on his sorceries, okay? And let's get that real quick. It's a precept. Isaiah 47:12, it says, stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. All these trickeries, because once you go into sorcery, it's just like smoke and mirrors, magic, lying, disappearing acts. So it's not like they banging and bowing before Molech all day. They do that for certain ideas, but there's another layer of sorcery when they start performing it. Social media, the AI, the algorithm. That's why they were so upset about TikTok, because they couldn't control the algorithm. And amongst other things, they weren't getting paid. So it's all about control with these people. All right. So these gestures or these warlocks, as well as anybody that, cause social media, once they started, they're incentivizing niggas to get on there to act a fool. It's not like they find somebody and say, I'm going to make you like this person because I know this particular person is going to get everybody like the Pied Piper, and then make them know. They use social media. They used to program and create people, but social media has done a wonder, because all it takes is you to go viral. Boom. You doing all the work for me. I go call you, hit you up, and tell you, hey, do this, that, and I'll give you this, and that, which is why somebody like Tazariak is breaking down things that I believe he knows the proper breakdown, but he's saying that, the scriptures say not to abhor an Edomite. You're trying to soften that up. Maybe y'all been, because Johanna got on the news and did the same thing. I don't hate white people. God hates white people. Tuck and tail and running, man. Y'all do all that. Go to the laws. You ain't this unless you come under General Yohanan. And y'all, anytime y'all get pressured, y'all niggas tuck tail and run, man. To be fucking honest, that's some whole ass shit, man. Everybody need to come up under you. Why? So you can leave them stranded? You got Cesario going over, damn near being made a fool of. These specials made a fool of, sitting at a table with loaves of bread, mimicking in the Last Supper. And you got this Edomite scoffer sitting in the middle while y'all arguing, they're talking over you. You're an Israelite, man. Are you letting them niggas play with you like that? For what? For some fucking bread, some money? They tossing bread around you. You trying to focus? You brought a shame into yourself, man. That was a shameful look. You had a couple other ones that was borderline. You could tell Jake doing it for the money, but this one, you stoop low, man. All right. So I'm getting pressed for time, but I'm gonna read this real quick, man. It says, so they said, the smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow a very lively debate within that spectrum. Even encourage the more critical and dissident views that gives people the sense that there's free thinking going on, while all the time the presuppositions of the system are being reinforced by the limits put on the range of the debate. So you, in that video, they're talking about, oh, well, how am I gonna get this money? Well, the government should give you the money. The government should not be paying us, but paying y'all. And blah 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 blah. And at the end of the day, he got to go and still hop in that car and go DoorDash to pay for shit. He still has to do that. You ain't putting no money in my pocket. Y'all ain't come up with no funding system. All these rich elite people, they're not doing shit. They're cutting taxes, and this is Babylon. And I'm not looking for ideas to get about this place. I don't care. But we're talking about the logistics, the logic of it, and you niggas that really believe in the system and are quick to yell at us for being, Galileans, okay, and being slow and try to paint us as being slow, which is another lesson I want to go into, you know, and try to demonize us this way. All right, when really y'all the stupid ones. All right, y'all a bunch of horses that are broken. Y'all a bunch of broken horses. You know, y'all a bunch of mosquitoes in a jar. That's all you are. All right. So I wanted to get this last passage, and I read this last verse. All right. So I'm gonna read this as well. It says the key element of social control is the strategy of distraction. That is to divert public attention from important issues and changes decided by political and economic elites through the technique of flooding continuous distractions and insignificant information. Like, why didn't they open up the government? Why y'all spending all this money for this lighting, to the YouTube? That cost all that money could have went to something to stop this shit, not talk about it and make money off. Because like he said, we all getting paid to be up here. Stephen A got paid to sit there to say that. You know what I'm saying? The other guys are paid to be up there. And while the people in the crowd are going up there to complain about not being paid. You can't make this shit up, man. And they just use you and play in your face. That's why this place has to go, man. All right. So yeah, that's all I wanted to get. I'm gonna get this last precept and we'll close it out, because I was reading Isaiah 47:12. It says, "Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth." And speaking of Esau, "If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art weary in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers and the stargazers and the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee," because the Lord's going to destroy and bring to naught all the wicked counsel that Esau brings forth, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to read this one and we're going to sign off. In Proverbs 4:16 says, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. You know, and that's what Esau is doing. They lay in their think tanks, they come up with concepts. You know, like I always say, that 1950s time was a real big time of thinking on how to really fuck everybody up mentally and physically through chemical warfare and mental warfare. You know, MK Ultra, the CIA, and all this, that they gained a lot of power from teaming scientists after World War II, and they came up with contraceptives, MK Ultra, Project Paperclip, different surgeries, different TV programming, television came out, uh, feminism came out. A lot of things that was pivotal around that time took place. All right, and you go a little bit before that, the real beginning happened when the money was changed. I think it was like a little couple, like 20 years before that. And it's all this is a continual plan. It ain't no different from, people arguing about what Trump's doing. About these are two parties with dancing with the same devil, man. Okay, they work for the same damn devil, and they just get you people to feel like you have an argument. I don't like the blue side because they're doing this, but I don't like the red side because they're doing that, and y'all arguing about which side. But when both sides ultimately are working for the one party, you know what I'm saying? Trump is doing the same shit. He's breaking everything down. All right, there is no more jobs. Jobs is fucking hard to get. Yeah, every job that call itself hiring is McDonald's, Burger, and you need about three of them jobs to survive. You know, like because of inflation and how they fucked up these pensions and trust funds, and
and manipulating the market and creating other shit concepts to, you know, making all the money over here and then sending it, or making all the money making your product overseas and selling it over here. You know, they're already going into how motherfuckers sent $20 billion to Venezuela. 20 bill. You know what I'm saying? But then turn around and don't and charge Jake for medical fees, charge for and tuition fees. You send money over there to Israel every year, and women get free FMLA. They get paid for a whole year. People get paid for little shit off of our money. But you got homeless people. You got people got to pay for school that's in debt, that's working their ass off for this fucking hellhole, and got shit to show for it, man. Troops out here killing themselves. This when the wicked rule, the people mourn, man. That's simple and plain. And if you start doing something that's of significance, they're gonna take you down because they don't want the world to know that you can live, you can do things through peace and unity. They don't want people to know that, But the Lord gonna break this motherfucker down and gonna rule through peace and unity. It ain't gonna be. It's gonna be order first off, because the nation of Israel is gonna be at the top, and the unity is gonna be everybody under one rule and one law and one power, man. So with that being said, I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Hasadash, Gaban Satafu, to our elders rule well, which are GMS. Blessed citations to brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. And blessed citations to the innumerable multitude that's enduring the truth and sincerity as well. I become quiet. Shalom.